My inquiry question was, how can I effectively use wikis in the classroom to increase student engagement with literary text? The theories that informed my ALP were reader response theory, critical literacy, engagement, technology use, and student choice. What I did was create a wiki space to explore the short story that the 9th grade class was reading, Richard Connell's The Most Dangerous Game. On the home page, I created a page of instructions that included 4 tasks for students to complete that were all created with reader response theory in mind. I'll tell you more about this as you start to see examples of student work. The students could respond to each task in multiple ways, such as with text, voice threads, sound recorder, Wordle, ToonDo, Bubble, and Glogster. They also had a freebie response in which they could respond in pretty much any way that they wanted. I listed some options but also left it open for them to decide how they wanted to create their own. I created an example page with all the technologies demonstrated and also created a handout page that had instructions on how to use and embed each technology into their wiki. I also included resources for them, such as Flickr's and Wikipedia's Creative Commons, and information on copyright and citing images. Most students used Wordle and Bubble at first, but then I had a few brave souls who are willing to try out ToonDo and they loved it. A lot of students wrote their responses in text as well. I found that the students really didn't care to use my handout page with instructions and instead waited for me to come around and show them how to use and embed each technology into their wiki. Therefore, I learned that demonstrating each of these for the class would be a worthwhile change to make if implementing this project in the future. I got pretty good feedback from students on this project. They all seemed to have a lot of fun, and of course I had some students that weren't really participating in it and were looking at other things online, but most of them seemed really excited about the new technologies. A lot of students mentioned that they wish they knew more about how to use the technologies and that they were kind of confused because they had never seen or used many of them before. So I would definitely in the future do a lot of tutorials and show them how to use all of these different Web 2.0 tools. Some things that I observed during the implementation of my project was that some students were pretty nervous about getting started because they were unfamiliar with the different Web 2.0 tools. They needed a lot of help at first, but once they got started, they really had fun with it, especially on Wordle. A lot of students contributed very creative responses to their wikis, while others hadn't paid attention to the text or read the story on their own, so they didn't have much to contribute. There were a couple ESL students in the class that didn't really know how to type and needed a lot more help. I learned a lot in the implementation of this part of my ALP. The main thing I learned is that students love working with technology and that they are so much more engaged and motivated when technology is involved in their learning. Having said that, a lot of students do need a lot of help figuring out how to use technologies. Having tutorials before doing something like this would be really helpful. Technology also doesn't always work how you have planned. For example, in the library with my students, we didn't have access to any microphones, so we couldn't use VoiceThread. You just never know when something like that's going to happen, so you just have to be ready to make adjustments. Also, having a clear page with directions, a handout on how to use technology, and an example page is important and will help cut down on some of the time you have to take with each student. Just plan ahead. To conclude, I found that students had a great time using their wiki and learning how to use these very fun Web 2.0 tools. If I had more time, I think that students would have really gotten to work even harder on creating really amazing pages and really furthering their reader responses. In the future, I think that I would start off small with different technologies, building up their knowledge before getting them to work with them all at once. However, I can tell that wikis will definitely be a part of my classroom in the future, and I hope that you guys will use them too. They certainly have unlimited potential and students love them.